Okay, hey everybody, just giving it some space, letting some people hopefully see the notification. I know a lot of people have been saying they haven't been getting the notifications, so I'm sorry about that. I don't seem to have any power over that when I've gone and looked at things. That seems to be the powers that be. Hey Grandpa Brian, how are you? Good day to you too. Much love. So I'm just saying, Grandpa Brian, I've tried to see if I can maybe get the notifications a bit better for people, but I don't seem to have any power over that. So it is what it is. Apart from remembering to tell people I'm going live, I need to start doing that actually. I hope you're well, Grandpa. Not working too hard. You're a hard worker. So this is a reading for the day, tarot of the day of, and I'm a bit smoky, the mugwort's doing a bit too well at burning, but it's a good thing. So this is the tarot of the day for the 19th of June, 2021. And another interesting day, a lot of conflict coming up in the cards today. Oh, you were without power right now, had bad storms coming through last night. Oh, I'm sorry about that, Grandpa Brian. We, funnily enough, are actually set to have, I'm not sure where you're located, but we in the UK are set to have floods through storms. Apparently there's some areas towards the south, I think, are already experiencing floods. So interesting weather for sure. Not all natural, not all natural. And not all bad either. There's something that came up for me, Grandpa Brian, as I was researching, and the unnatural origins of SARS-CoV-19. Look up that document, translated into English. The funny thing is that weather causing storms, therefore rain, actually gives a level of protection against some of the biological weapons that could be brought down onto people. It stops the dispersion of it. It dampens it. So you wonder, don't you, with all of these storms popping up, and some natural, of course, but some just don't feel natural at all. Hi, Nadai. Hello to you. So this is for the 19th of June, as I said, and this is tarot stroke energies of the day. Let's get into it and see where we're at, what the cards want to say. So we have on the bottom of the deck, the Queen of Cups, another queen that has been coming forward a lot. This speaks to the empath. It speaks to the emotional body, the waters. It also speaks to, as we were just speaking about, me and Grandpa Brian there on YouTube, is that the stormy weather that seems to be approaching, that seems to be reflecting a lot of storms in our personal lives, and storms from a point of view that is being manipulated, and natural storms. I've had a vision for a long time that I've kept mentioning here and there about the Divine Mother shaking herself and making bones of history, bones that have been put there out of abuse, be seen. And so we're seeing a lot of this with volcanic activity. You want to look at Canada with the bones being discovered there, and there's many more to discover. They just don't want, that would set a whole jumper being, pulled apart by pulling that thread. And so they're trying to manage that process without denying it in entirety. But this speaks to the emotional body. It speaks to the waters. It speaks to being able to be in a balanced emotional state, no matter the weather, no matter the storm. It speaks to you channeling your emotions rather than your emotions channeling you. It speaks to being able to be empathetic empathetic towards others without absorbing their energy, to be the master empath rather than the victim empath, which is an indoctrinated state in itself in the spiritual community. So it also speaks to being in connection with your divine feminine within, whether you are male or female, speaking to your intuition, being led by your intuition, by your heart, by your gut. And so and being flow with your emotions, allowing them to be released as and when necessary, but at appropriate times. And so there's a lot of power in having the power over your superpower, which is emotions. But there's also a lot of power that others can have over you if you're not clear with your emotions, if you are not right with your emotions, if you are not in control of your emotions. Hey, Wendy, boss door to you. So on the bottom of the clarifying deck, we have the 7 of Cups. So you can see with this card, there are the 7 cups with all of these different symbols on, options, lots of different options that emotionally you feel led to delve into each and every one, to be busy in each and every one, but there's no clarity here. There's no divine purpose. There's confusion, distraction, and being distracted from that you should be nourishing and should be looking at, and intuitively you know to do so, but still being distracted by all of these options. Ask yourself why you always have to be distracted. What is it that you're avoiding in your emotional body, in your waters, in your feelings, that you want to distract yourself from that constantly, which can lead to trouble. And so there's lots of people maybe with ditzy energy today, unfocused energy that is a little bit all over the place. Oh, Rishita, go away. Hey, Elder Barry. Hey, Long Ted Jr. I'll read that in a second. I'll just do this reading. So hey, Susie. Hey, my sister. So this is where we do need to be cognizant of why we are feeling the need to constantly be distracted by many other things. There's lots of activity, but are we putting our waters into too many different avenues, and so there isn't substance behind the being, that there isn't a direct intent and force behind the being. And so to clarify, that would be to bring it into focus. It seems a lot of people today are struggling with that from where the cards go after this, and that we've got the 7 of Wands as the first card. And so this speaks to being in defense of yourself. You actually have the option to have higher ground. Now we have the 7 and the 7. So being distracted, putting your energy into too many different cups, putting your emotions into too many different cups. This might be literally sharing your body with too many people and connecting those emotional bodies together. This might be being distracted by projects, people, things, anything. Puts you then in a defensive position, in that you've diluted yourself into too many avenues. And so you find yourself from this 7 of Cups being far too long distracted and maybe a little ditzy energy wise. We go to then the 7 of Cups, where 7 of Wands, where you're in this defensive position and not quite knowing which way you want to go, and where attacks maybe are coming from. It talks about gaining attention, garnering attention, and it needs to be attention for the right thing. Otherwise, there will be attention brought to you for the things that maybe are of a lower frequency. So this is actually Long Ted. This would correlate with you as well, in that the psychic attacks, the 7 of Wands, the feeling attacked, they're having the dreams, they're having the voices. this is where you will be feeling in this defensive position and not quite knowing where it's coming from, where it was spurred, I think, maybe from putting your energy into too many different avenues, too many different projects, things, or people. And so with this Seven of Wands, we do have the clarifying card as the Two of Pentacles. I need like a drum beat, don't I? You know, for the Two of Pentacles, because it keeps coming out. And this causes somewhat of a divide between two different material aspects in your material reality, causing somewhat of a juggle, of a need to juggle, and it's uncomfortable with that Seven of Wands as the preliminary card. This feeling of being attacked, or indeed being attacked, or being the focal point of many, will be causing friction. It will cause you to feel like you're juggling, and in this juggling state with the Two of Pentacles, you do tend to get exhausted. So if you can't go back to the beginning and gain ground with your emotional body and be in control of your emotional body, this is where you'll have your power, by going back to this, the divine feminine Queen of Cups, who is in control and dominion over her emotional body. This is where you've attracted in, maybe long Ted, some of this energy that will give you the feeling that you're being attacked, or that you're being too much of the focal point of others, and you've sort of diluted yourself. And continuing to dilute yourself with this Two of Pentacles, the longer that you juggle this Two of Pentacles, the more and more you dilute your intent and force to stay on focus, to stay on point. This Two of Pentacles coming up a great deal for many reasons in individual lives, and as the collective stage. You know, there are divides that are deepening. There are deep divides between even the cycles of people still living in old narratives, in old paradigms, different realities in their own consciousness, and manifesting that reality, still walking around in fear, still walking around feeling like they're being attacked, still walking around feeling like they're the focal point, whereas other people can see through that veil, and they're not walking in fear, but they are garnering attention of the ones that are fearful. So there's a cross paths, there is a conflict there of these two opposing forces that we're seeing on the collective stage. So we have the Eight of Swords as the next card. And so this speaks to being in a prison within your own mind, within your own thought process, within your own cyclical thoughts going round and round and round. This is where you are hearing the voices, maybe from your inner self and from other entities that love to have this. There are entities who love this conflicted energy, who love this diluted energy, which is why it's so important to go back to the beginning of the bottom of the deck with the Queen of Cups, to gain ground in your emotional strength and divinity, to not dilute yourself, because in that diluting of self, you are opening the doors and windows etherically to beings who love to feed off that kind of conflict and love to dilute you even more and drink of your well. And so these thoughts that are going round in your head, these voices, as I said, some of them of yours, some of them are of other entities, of other beings that are attracted to this energy or are on the same frequency as you. It might be that you're hanging around with people who are invested in either being in victimhood, being in worry with this Seven of Wands, and almost enjoying of that. And so if that's the case, this will be pulling you down further into this thought merry-go-round that is the Eight of Swords. And so again, there feels like there's this loss of power over your own elements. So strong elemental magic, strong elemental meditation is key, and very much the focal point to get back to the beginning, to gain that ground, to actually hold your grail rather than have others drink from it and hold it for you. We've got the Queen of coins to clarify the Eight of Swords. So this speaks to grounding, the serious need for grounding. Having your bare feet in the ground, in sand, in the sea is so important, not just for today, but over this whole weekend leading into the solstice. To be able to come into this solstice in a grounded and balanced way is very important. To not enter into this solstice in defense of yourself or feeling defensive through your own actions that you maybe know aren't reflective of what you portray on one side of your material life and what your reality is, or what you really are doing on the other side. If there's a disparity there, it will be seen. And so entering into this solstice, release yourself from that trap by getting right with yourself, and first and foremost grounding yourself, being able to bring it down into a more balanced point where you are not reactive from that Seven of Wands is very, very important. The Queen of Coins is not about the frills of solstice. She's not about the how it looks to other people. She actually is of the solstice. She is of the mother. She is of the nature. And so she enters into the solstice not juggling one aspect of herself and hiding the other, but being in divine communion with all the nature around her, and finding importance in that, and finding the abundance and true beauty in that. So it's not just words, it's truth, it's her truth. And so to find this as your truth will be a much more powerful solstice. If you enter into the solstice on the other side of that Two of Coins, still in the defensive position, still, not practicing what you preach, so to speak, then you will end up tying yourself up in more knots, in more thoughts, in more imprisoning thoughts. And so the next card is the Five of Swords. And so this brings conflict. Where there are no winners, it does bring a conflict that is not of a conflict that can really be used for good, as in when you're using your Kundalini energy, those opposing forces to raise up both divinities, both divine feminine, divine masculine. This is the conflict people are feeling within themselves, between the two divinities. This is the conflict then that is spilling over into reality, into the relations that people are holding, into the interactions that people are holding. And so it is very, and it becomes very childish. And so it takes away from the seriousness that we are in, and the reverence that this time of year should bring, and also the reverence that your divinities and the divine within everything else that is living should be known and seen and recognized. And so the Page of Wands clarifies the Five of Swords. So again, the fire and the air, it's fueling the fire. The immaturity is fueling the fire. The core details being ignored and being juggled, and having a blindfold to them in your individual life and on the collective stage. We see that we allow the play to continue playing out and get placated by it, thinking something is being done, but we continue en masse to not do what needs to be done in our individual lives and expect a different reflection from beyond. And so this isn't going to happen. So unfortunately, it does feel like many people are entering into this conflict where there are no winners, and there is this level of immaturity, and that immaturity, the air fuels the fire, blows onto the flame to make it grow into something more than it needed to be, which again takes us back into this defensive position. If you're feeling defensive today, and you feel like you're juggling many different aspects of material life, many different roles, many different hats, so to speak, then that comes back to you. You can only feel defensive over something that you feel isn't reflective of the divine today. You can only feel put in that position by yourself, knowing that you are not being reflective of the divine. So again, the power is in your hands to take back that dominion and course correct, as the Page of Wands is really good at doing, course correct those actions in order to put right and walk in the divine within you, recognizing the divine in everything else, and to create that balance again, to stop that juggling aspect, which will then, take that blindfold off and release you from all of these thoughts, from all of these voices, from all of this feeling pinned down, locked up. And so, a powerful day, but in a way that it's powerful if you can walk away from this type of reading, to be quite frank. This type of reading is of a neophyte type energy, in that, elements are all out of control, it feels, as I'm reading this right now. And in many people, their elements are all, not being looked at, not being treated as divine in their own right, and therefore in combination with one another. And we're seeing that spill out into the reality, the things that they're saying, the actions that they're taking, or the actions that they're not taking. A lot of hidden, a lot of things people don't want the world to see, and juggling to have a different, rather than living what they want the world to see, or living just what they want to see in themselves. So it's causing a lot of inner conflict that is spilling out. So let's see the chat. So I just want to go back to Long Ted's comment. Long Ted, where are you? Long Ted, I'm having a psychic attack because I've been on crack for 6 days and I've run out of money to buy some alcohol to help deal with the voices. What do the cards say I should do? Should I listen to them? Well, I think the cards have spoken to you already, funnily enough, Long Ted. And the psychic attack is your own psyche. The voices within your own self attacking you. And so, I know it's difficult and things have got to be measured medically for your body to not go into shock. But also it's important that you do not run to another substance to course correct the substance that got you into this space. So I'm sorry that you've gone through this. I'm sorry that you are in this place, and it is going to be uncomfortable. Susie's right. There's no medical advice that we can give because, it's a complicated process. Your body would be in shock for many different reasons if I was to tell you one thing. And, I don't know whether you're in the right space to be able to follow that. But what the cards have said to you today is that you're running from something. You're hiding from something or some things that need healing and that need inner work that you have not done yet or not been willing to do. And so the plaster of the substance will keep landing you in this space of conflict where with the Five of Swords, nobody wins. And so it's important for you to take the energies through the solstice today to find out what you've been running from, what you've been desperately trying to not face, and that you can find a balance point for yourself. So breathing is very important. Giving the thoughts the recognition they deserve, which is very little right now because those thoughts are of distortion. Those thoughts are influenced by substance. Those thoughts are influenced by a drop in substance in your body. And so those thoughts cannot be trusted right now. And so right now there just needs to be a stillness and a recognition that those thoughts are of your own, but of a distorted version of your own. So you need to take time to allow yourself to pass through this this peak of craving, so to speak, to start digging down into your elements to find that balancing point. So I hope that helps, Long Ted. A salty bath for sure. Keep even if you have to keep getting in there multiple times, very salty bath to help draw and help balance out your waters, to help draw poisons out of your body would be helpful. And for us to know that you're with somebody or can be with somebody during this time. Yeah, Peter is so right. You are worth this fight. You are worth this battle, and you are worth the reverence that your life deserves, and your life deserves a lot more reverence than you harming your body. And so finding what you are running from, Long Ted, will be very powerful for you to release you from this once and for all. To think of a time to think of a time when you never ever are controlled or led by a small bag with something in it. To think of that liberation, to feel you tied up here in these swords is painful. It's painful. And so to feel you and see you in a space of divinity where you are able to accept and love yourself in totalitarian, total divinity, not totalitarian. To be able to take away the powers from that wants to limit and oppress you, and to be in full acceptance of yourself is what I would want you to find. And Susie's right, you do have the power to tell those things to leave you alone, because in your case, Long Ted, I feel that these voices are not of other beings, although other beings, can enter into this space, especially when substance like this is involved. I feel a lot of these voices are your own, that those inner voices of your own are being cruel to self, because you obviously have enough within you to reach out today and put this out there today for support. You have enough within you to recognize that you truly do deserve life, and you are worthy of life and this experience. And so you do have the power to tell those voices to give yourself some space, to just breathe through this process of letting go of the substance that's been holding you for too long, brother. Swaddle yourself. If you can get a nice heavy blanket, I want you to feel the weight of that blanket and swaddle yourself real tight, to feel a good restriction, i.e. a loving restriction, and know that we're all here supporting you, and would love to hear how you get on. And there's no shame. Nobody's got any right to judge you, but you are judging you. And I think that's where a lot of these voices are coming from. You get what we're saying, but why are they saying things I did? I can't remember if I did them. That's a horrible position to be in. When you've been under the influence, and whether it's other people or other voices telling you that you've done things that you can't remember. Again, that's a warning shot. That's a warning shot to say your elements have gotten out of control, rather than you being in dominion of them. They have been in dominion of you for too long. And so it's time to get that lasso and rein them in. That is reflective in the blanket, feeling hugged, feeling tight. And right now, to not sweat the small stuff, Long Ted, to not sweat the things that, these voices are telling you that you've done. if you've done them, it will come to light. But to be in that conflict where there's nothing really you can do about any actions you have or haven't taken right now, to keep going down to the seed rather than sweating the small stuff will be powerful. Hey, Paul. Hey, Truth Seeker. Hi, beloved. And what, you know, Long Ted, you're with such wonderful people in here in this chat. I mean, honestly, these people have walked lives. Nobody is in judgment. We've all done things that have been both good and, you know, for once a better word, bad for ourselves. And, you know, there's support here. Yeah. Tell Winston Churchill, sorry people dead I'm reading, tell Winston Churchill to do one. He's got no right to be judging anyone else. And it's not really Winston Churchill. I think you've got a strong sense of intuition. I think you actually have a strong sense of being able to see the wood for the trees when you're not influenced, Long Ted, by substances. And I think basically if you break down everything that you've just said there, that you're a pro-totalitarian, and he's telling you that you're a commie, you know, all of those things, I think you're just feeling the conflicts from the outside, and your mind is like in a dream, making them you know, make sense, in, for want of a better word, in a character. And so those are your voices of just intuition, of seeing what's actually going on. And you have to stand in your divinity with that strong intent, like Susie says, to know that you can tell them to vamos and be gone. Good day, Tatkins Jr. Hey, Thomas, shine on to you as well. There's got to be, you have to find a gulp, sip, sip song. Can any thoughts be trusted? I don't think that's helpful to say today, beloved, for Long Ted. You know, I think is find it difficult enough to trust any thoughts. So there are divine thoughts that can guide you right. I think that's the best to say. Regardless of working out where spies are, I don't feel you've been spied on, Long Ted. You're just putting yourself under a big spotlight right now, and that's okay. But a walk, very, very definitely good. Get your body moving, get your body distracted, get your body strong, and get that sweat working to relieve your body of the craving. They do have technology, Long Ted, where they can track people, and they do send brain waves with information in it to tell people to do things. But you're still cognizant enough to recognize that. And usually with those brain waves, those people are in a space where they're not even cognizant of it. It feels absolutely like their thoughts. You still have enough of a balance point to be able to see through that. So I don't think that's happening here. I just feel you're being attacked by your own thoughts because your elements have gotten all out of whack. That's right, Elder Barry. Elder Barry says, with his everlasting wisdom, Here is what cured me. The government wants you addicted and messed up. They thrive on your misery and smuggle some more in for you to buy. Yes, and it gives them the funds to carry on that cycle, doesn't it, brother? So take strength from a brother who has lived a life and has wise words always. In that the very beings that you feel afflicted by, you know, don't give them what they want. Don't give them what they want. Oh, thank you, beloved. I need to show your art, and I shut down all of the things. So I'm doing some more videos today, beloved. So I'll be showing your art on at least one of the videos. I promise you that. And you know what? Well, Long Ted asks, if the government wanted us addicted, why don't they legalize drugs, sir? Well, because Long Ted, the way that people are made up is that they need the slave labor, so they need the slave labor within the prisons. Since they got rid of slavery in the way that it used to be, they need the slave labor. So, you know, prisons became that a legal way of having slave labor. So they have a continuous cycle of that by having it illegal, yet still having people addicted. On the face of it, to people who live in their little boxes on the hillside, watching mainstream media, wearing matching clothes, then they still can look like the good guys, so they can still have mind control and funds given by that point, and make lay people who are getting addicted like the bad guys. So they don't think just in one line. They think like a lattice work. They think all over the place, and so and plus a lot of people, you know, wouldn't bother doing it if they weren't. There's a psychological thing that happens when something is restricted. The more that it is restricted, the more it is wanted. And the more miserable they can make people's lives, the harder people are having to work for less. They can then control, instead of it being a natural plant, such as a weed, for instance, that isn't going to do too much harm to anybody, if at all. They'll make sure the substances that are going to do harm are there. You're not going to get arrested, Long Ted, unless, you know, you do something, and you're not going to do something today. I know you're not. Yeah, you do get tired of following the damn stories in your head, don't you, beloved? It gets tiring. It does. That's why I've gotten all smoky today, because I needed to clear out. I needed to clear out some energies. Really did. So that is the reading for today. Long Ted, I wish you the very, very best. You can give yourself the very, very best by not running towards another substance, but facing this head on once and for all. Yes, truth seeker. In any case, the real big criminals are roaming free. The other ones who should be ousted, thrown off the planet. Yes, they should. You're very welcome, Long Ted. Let us know how you're getting on. And I appreciate your openness today. Love you, Susie. Okay, much love. I'll be back real soon.